This is the RV Advisor Podcast with your host, Tom Alexander. Get all the latest information, trends, advice from experts, stories from the road, and more in the world of recreational vehicles. Now, here's Tom.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RV Advisor Podcast. I'm Tom Alexander, and of course, I'm joined today by Gigi Stetler, our fearless leader. Hey, Gigi, how are you?
I'm grand. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. We have a very special guest on with us today from the great state of North Carolina, actually Hickory, North Carolina. It is Scott Schiffel. Scott, welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
We are doing great. I see you got a little buddy there next to you as well.
Hey, one of my friends. Say hi.
Who's that?
This is Reese. Reese is actually famous. She is a mascot for our barbecue sauce company. So.
Oh, wonderful! Yeah, I see the banner there for the barbecue company. That's your company, huh?
Yes, sir.
Terrific. And it says Doxy Guy.
Yes, sir.
All right, Doxy Guy Barbecue. I'm gonna have to try some Doxy Guy.
Where's my
right.
sample, Scott?
I need to hook you up, Gigi.
Yes, I need some. Yeah, I need some good sauce.
Yeah.
All right, I'll push some your way.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right. We're off to a great start already. We got barbecue sauce coming.
That's right.
All right, folks. Well, listen, we've got a little more serious matters to tend to and something that happened with you. And we're going to just, because of, let me put it this way, because of legal matters, we'll just refer to these folks as Company X. Company X kind of serves as a catch-all for anybody you don't want to mention by name. Unless there's an actual Company X out there, but I don't know if there is. Anyway.
John Doe, you know.
John Doe. It is the John Doe of, of companies. All right. So, Scott, why don't you set it up for us a little bit? Tell us what happened.
All right. So, in brief, so it's 2 weeks before the governor of North Carolina shut down the state for the COVID pandemic. And we were in the market for a new RV, and we had been looking for a while. We bought a unit, unbeknownst to us, had some major issues. We get out on our first trip and have major floods on our first weekend in isolation. We felt like we were the best social distancers in the world, right? We're going camping. And this was our second camper. It wasn't our first rodeo. But you know, on site and through looking at the camper, we did not realize the problems that this camper had. And so we got out on that first trip, had some leaks, took it straight from the campground back to the dealership, dropped it off. They called, said, "Yep, we got you fixed up." We went out the very next weekend, had a completely different flood. Because of fixing the first flood, they had another plumbing problem that involved the other flood. And on top of that, we started having, so we took it back. We got that one fixed. We took it back and we started having water come in the unit, like onto the floors and stuff like that, like every time it would rain. And so on top of that, my daughter, we started noticing that every single time we went out, my daughter was coming home, and within 3 days, she was extremely sick. And, not COVID or anything like that. But it was respiratory, and realized that, all this water and stuff that was going on, we actually had water inside the unit, like inside the walls, everywhere. And, took it back to the dealership. The dealership made some mistakes along the way in trying to address some of the other punch list items. Gigi has just a pile of paper from that, from all of the service requests and stuff. And as we were going along, we just felt like we weren't getting anywhere. And I found out about Gigi's services and got online with her and started talking. And she put on her cowboy boots and she went to war with us. And we had a very successful experience. And I don't think we would have gotten anywhere without what she did to help us. And so I can dive into that a little bit more or answer other questions. You tell me where you want to go from here, Tom.
If I remember correctly, I think we started with I remember you sending me pictures and video and stuff like that, and um, after looking at it, without I didn't need to smell it. Just looking at it, I knew that it was full of mold. But just looking at it, it was not fixable, and and especially in a dealer's capacity. And if it had gone back to the factory, and even if they pulled the walls and the roofs and everything, you can't. It's impossible to get the extent of mold that you had. And and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that it's at some point you were in a situation where the dealer was blaming the factory, and the factory was basically doing nothing and pushing it back to the dealer again. And you financed it, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
So I think we started with that route. And one thing that you have some kind of recourse is if you do finance a camper, there is language in the contract that if you have a claim against the seller, there's recourse. So I think we started in that direction, and then with a couple of demand letters, and I believe we went back and forth with the factory. And I the thing that happens is nobody knows what tree to bark up, because like what happened with you, and in the middle of the blame game. And I do believe, if I remember, did they wanted to trade you out, but they were making you take such a hit on this brand new camper. And is that right?
Yeah.
Originally?
You're right on all those parts on what transpired with us. The camper basically sat on their lot forever. I couldn't even get the thing back to use it, which I shouldn't have anyway, with it being as messed up as it was.
That's a good point. Let me just touch on that real quick because I'll forget. So even if it's a brand new camper to you, when a camper's sitting on a dealer's lot for a year or 2 years, and I think we tracked it down, and I think they moved it from a store to another store or something like that, and it had actually been manufactured 2 years prior to you purchasing it, even though it's a new unit. So all manufacturers have the fine print in their owner's manual that says that the unit needs to be sealed within 90 days of purchase. But it doesn't really say whose purchase. Is it the dealer's purchase? Is it the retail purchase? It's in the owner's manual, and there's nobody owns it yet. But technically, the dealer owns it. So I think that was a great area. But had we had gone the lemon law, which there is no lemon law in the RV world. No, the dealers don't tell you, to read the owner's manual. They don't tell you to seal it. So, and you would not have known, you were thinking of a brand new camper. So, a suggestion when you are shopping for units, look on the doors, on the driver's side front corner of the RV where the sticker is, and it'll tell you the date of manufacture. And when you look at that date of manufacture, keep in mind that it needs to be sealed 90 days from that date. So, have the dealer do a complete seal on the RV, because that's why, you had all those leak problems, because it sat around for 2 years with no caulking.
Right.
Unbeknownst to
Yeah,
you.
and I would even say, even when the dealer tells you no, when you're standing on the lot looking at that pretty camper and it looks so fantastic and everything's great, and the dealer won't let you climb the ladder and look at the roof, that should be a huge red flag to you. That I definitely learned. The dealer pitched it as a liability issue, that I could not be on the roof of a camper on their property. And I even asked them to, hey, pull it out on the road and I'll do it out there. But, I would definitely tell you to try to look at the roof if you have any knowledge of what it should look like, and you may be able to identify some problems.
It is a gray area insurance wise, because, insurance for dealers is so difficult to get. And, if you were to slip off the ladder and we let you on the ladder.
True.
So, it is a gray area, but, there's what I would do if the dealer doesn't let you, have them take your phone up there and take pictures of the roof, because it's not, unless they have a lift, because going up on a ladder or the RV ladder, it's not safe. So
True.
that's technically a dealer's fault, but you can, set them up there, their service people up on the roof and take pictures of the entire roof and give it back to you and then send that to me if you sign up for my services and I can look at the roof and know that, there's going to be or is or was an issue,
True.
But go ahead.
True.
Finish what you're saying.
No, so so after it sat on the lot for the service department for 3 or 4 months in limbo, you and I were already talking, and ultimately you just got really frustrated with how it was just going nowhere. And the bank, we ended up finding out. Remember, the bank and the dealer were kind of in cahoots. So the recourse with the bank didn't work out. They told me forget it, But you got so frustrated, you ended up sending one of your drivers from Florida all the way up to me in North Carolina to pick up my camper. And I was just amazed. I was like, oh my gosh. And your driver showed up in Florida with my camper. And within 15 minutes, you guys were out there with the video camera and everything. I remember Tom's podcast with you, and you did a review of it, and the water pouring in. You were doing the water testing, and you cut the floor out, and you showed exactly. And in 15 minutes, you identified all the problems. And I was like,
I forgot
oh my
that.
gosh. Yeah, it was amazing. I was just like, oh my gosh. And you sent me the link to the video, and you said, here's what I want you to do. And you helped me craft a letter. And we went back to the bank, the manufacturer, and the dealer again and said, hey, here's this video, by the way, and here's what's wrong. Do you want to do something now? And within 48 hours,
blasted all over the internet. I remember now.
yeah. And within 48 hours, we got a phone call. I got a phone call from the manufacturer, and they said, hey, we want to come and pick up your camper and assess it ourselves.
Yeah.
And Gigi says, no, sir, not happening, Scott. And I'm thinking, again, dumb me, I'm thinking, good idea. Let them come get it. They're starting to take action. And Gigi says, nope. She says, they got to tell you what they're going to do. They got to tell you when they're going to do it. And they got to tell you the outcome.
Well, let's hold it right there. Let's hold it right there, because we'll take a quick break and hear how this whole thing resolves on the other side of the break. Our guest is Scott Schiffel from Hickory, North Carolina. Of course, I'm here with the one, the only Gigi Stetler. We'll see how this whole thing resolved right after these words. You're watching the RV Advisor Podcast. Stay tuned.
GPS, what does that stand for? Gigi's Personal Services. Throughout the years, Gigi has helped countless RV owners with issues that are difficult to handle on their own. Don't wait until the unexpected knocks on your door to find the solutions you need. With Gigi's Personal Services, receive assistance with contract reviews and negotiations, answers to your financing questions, pre-legal advice, insurance claims, and much more. Get Gigi's expert advice and call now at 1-833-229-0911. Again, that is 1-833-229-0911.
We are back on the RV Advisor Podcast. I'm Tom Alexander, and of course, Gigi Stetler joining us. And our special guest is Scott Schiffel from Hickory, North Carolina. We heard the whole big setup and everything they went through to kind of get this crazy situation resolved. That was an issue with Company X, as we like to say, the John Doe of companies. But resolution right around the corner. Well, let's hear where this whole thing went after Gigi told you not to have them take it and send it back. Let's see what happens next.
All right. So yeah, Gigi says, yeah, we're not sending the camper back to them. And I said, okay, well, what's next? And Gigi says, they got to give you some answers, Scott. They got to tell you what they're going to do, why they're coming to get it. She says, I'm not letting it off of my lot until they give us a firm understanding of what their plan may be. And so ultimately, we were able to come to an agreement that they would come pick up the unit, and they would let us know within 4 days of what their intention was. So it didn't take them 4 days. It took them 48 hours after it landed at their location. And they called and said, "Mr. Schiffel, your camper is a total loss. We're very sorry, but we are going to have to replace your unit." So, um, of course, I'm emailing Gigi all this stuff as it's going on, every phone call, everything going on. I was recording the phone calls for my reference so I could go back to points made and things like that, and just trying to keep everything in the loop. And so I told Gigi, this is the plan. And she says, "Well," I said, "Well, the problem is the unit is no longer manufactured, so we have a whole new issue." In that they can't just hand me a new unit of what I had. So I was very happy with the layout and everything of that unit. So we started having discussion on what that meant. And long story short, we had bought something. We had bought a unit in their highest tier of units. And what they offered me as a replacement was at the bottom of the barrel of their units, a very entry level stick and tin.
That's what you paid for, though.
What's that?
That's what you paid for, though. They basically got you kind of out of what you were in it for. I mean, because you bought the entry level, you didn't really want to do an upgraded model, but they didn't have any other.
No, I had bought. Remember, I had bought their top tier line, but what they offered me was a stick and tin line. What I had bought, they have 3 levels.
Right. So you didn't accept that, and we went back.
I didn't accept that. Right. I was like, this is no way. I even went and looked at the units they were offering me, because I'm just sitting here looking at the internet. So I went to look at some of the units they were offering me, and we started shopping on our own, trying to decide what we wanted, because we kind of felt like the ball was in our court to get at that point what we wanted. And so Gigi agreed, and we started down the path of negotiating what this unit would be and making sure that I got a unit that was in the same class as what I had originally purchased. And ultimately we did end up, just because of some issues with the layouts, we couldn't find the exact same layout we had. And just due to the size of my children and things like that with the bunks, the units that were in that line just didn't quite fit our kids. And so I pitched back the idea of, hey, we did find this one. And they said, no, we can't do that. That's going to cost, $20,000 and you got to come out of pocket, this and that. And so we got that down. We whittled that down to about $15,000. And then ultimately Gigi helped us negotiate that. And we ended up coming to an agreement at $7,500 out of pocket, which we were okay with, because we were asking.
But it was also 2 years. It was also 2 years newer, right?
Actually. Yeah, they actually manufactured it. It was put into the order process, right. And we didn't take a unit off of a lot or anything. They weren't able to give us a unit off of a lot.
Right. So $7,500 was, you were basically paying for something 2 years newer, as opposed to, the difference in the quality. But I mean, I wish I could have got it free, but I know we were having some. I was trying, but But
yeah, you fought an incredible battle, and ultimately, it took about 4.5, 5 months, I guess, and we took delivery of the new unit, and we had a couple of bumps in the road there, and you helped us through those to make sure, we wanted to make sure we weren't getting back into another horrid situation. We had the unit inspected, and you helped us with some paperwork stuff and things like that. So,
well, no news is good news, because I haven't heard from you. So I guess no news is good news, right? It's all going well.
Yeah, it's gone really well. This unit's been fantastic. But you will soon be hearing from me. GPS purchase is coming soon, because I'm 100% a believer in it now. It's an amazing service, and I haven't even used your service for that part yet. I've used, obviously, your other services.
Well, that was a GPS service.
Well, it was GPS. Yes, it's true.
You are expired.
But I want to get you on the front end this time. Like, all right, Gigi, here's what I'm looking at. Help me through this, and let's make sure we don't mess up again. So,
well, you are expired, so you do need to re-sign up again.
I got to renew. I know.
You get me for a year, so whatever, even if it's just to say hello. So you get me for a year. So
Think of it as preventative medicine. It's
Yeah.
really, really a great idea to have Gigi's personal services. That's GPS, not to be confused with the satellites,
Yeah.
but GPS, Gigi's personal services. Scott, amazing. I mean, look what happened, and you were able to get this situation resolved, and for at the end of the day, for what amounted to be about $7,500, you got a unit 2 years newer with
What could have happened, why I wouldn't let it leave the lot here when I had it, and why I wanted to pick it up and find out what's wrong with it, because had it had gone back to the factory, and I've seen this happen time and time again, had it had gone back to the factory, any manufacturer, you're at their mercy to, they could say, "Oh, well, you didn't caulk it, or you didn't do this, or you didn't do that," and, buyer's neglect, and have no recourse, and then you're at their mercy. So that's why, until they agreed before they left my lot, that they agreed that if this thing is damaged beyond repair, that they're going to accept responsibility. Because I had all the videos and stuff. So we had gotten them to agree to that point. But what I didn't want them to do is to ship it back, or had you had sent it back, you would have been responsible for freight and everything, and them tearing it down. You would have been responsible for all of that. So now you would have had no camper, and you would owe the factory a bunch of money. So that's why I wouldn't let it. That's why I wouldn't let it off my lot until there was a deal, because I know that they would have done that to you. They would have stuck you with shipping, everything, and a tear down assessment, and found some other excuse.
And I want to give you another word of praise, and I've thought about you a bunch through all of this. Almost every time we step foot in the camper, when we went through this battle, in the middle of our battle, you went through probably one of the most horrible things ever. When your place caught on fire, and you were going through the perils of that, and I felt so terrible for you, and I knew you were already under so much pressure, but you were just unrelenting, and still stood by us and helped us through everything. And I commend you for that. And my family appreciates that. And we've been hoping you've been able to rebuild and get things back in order. I know you can't recover from that easily, but we appreciate you. So
It's 2 years today.
Oh, today. Wow.
Today. Yep, it's 2 years
Wow.
today.
Yeah.
And
I didn't realize.
and we are not
Did-
fully recovered. We
Didn't
we had to
realize it was 2 years today. As we're recording this, it's March
Yeah.
22nd. So
Yeah.
wow. And I remember Gigi, it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. You got the
5:38 in the morning, and
5:38. There you go.
and we are we are not fully recovered, and we had to move and rebuild, and I'm fighting City Hall, on the new property, so we're barely operating at 25% because we don't have permits, and that I'm fighting for. And then my old place, I'm suing the landlord. They pocketed the insurance money and basically left us sitting out in the hot sun. So we're gonna come to trial pretty soon, hopefully first week of May. So we're getting down to the wire. So I'm not only fighting the manufacturers for consumers. I'm fighting City Hall and the slumlords. So my plate is full.
Well,
Well,
that's
a
why I
suit of
said
armor is
put
on the
your
way.
cowboy boots.
Yeah. A suit of
Thank you.
armor is on the way, Gigi. So we'll make
That's
sure
right.
everything's fine. Scott, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate you sharing your story with us. And we're really glad that it worked out well for you. And we're looking forward to trying your barbecue sauce. I'll tell you that much.
And
Yes,
I'm looking forward to getting back in the market again for a new unit. And I'm actually, you saw me type it a minute ago. I was actually going to the RV Advisor website, so because I do need to get my renewal done and be ready whenever the time comes. So.
Yes, just like you should probably do a FaceTime with me once you renew, and let me make sure that your maintenance is up to date. Check your caulking and stuff, because you have to do that once a year. It needs to be sealed every year, and you probably skipped a year. So you You didn't? Okay, good. But so if you
Lesson learned.
okay, but if you
Well,
want,
I would have done it, but
if you need me to check
the
it,
dealer didn't do it for me.
I will.
Absolutely, that'd be great.
Yes.
There you go.
Very good. It's so nice to see you and your little dog too.
Thank you.
The rhyme for that, yes.
All
And,
right. Well, listen, folks, thank you for tuning in. And thanks again to Scott Schiffel up in Hickory, North Carolina. Up for us. We're in Florida. Over or down for you, or out, wherever you are, depending on where you are geographically. It's Hickory, North Carolina. For Gigi Stetler, I am Tom Alexander saying thank you, and we'll see you next time right here on the RV Advisor Podcast. So long, everybody.